Constructors with care. Welcome back to some more Solidity smart contract exploitations. This one is very interesting in particular because we have an amazing resource brought to our attention. I never knew this was out there. This is called Ethernaut Challenges, and the author of this blog post recommends to check it out. And when I went here on their GitHub by following this link, right, I'll put the link in the description for those of you that are interested as well. So this is basically a Web3 Solidity-based war game, and it was meant to be, it was inspired by Over the Wire. So this is basically the Over the Wire version of exploiting Solidity smart contracts. So if you guys have been following along with this series and have been enjoying learning about these different vulnerabilities, and you wanted some CTF war games that you could play to practice exploiting vulnerable contracts, definitely check this out. I know I will be, that's for sure. And I'll probably be making some videos on this stuff as well. Let me know if that's something you're interested in the comment section below. But yeah, it looks like they, you basically install this here. And another nice, good sign here is that there's been a lot of commits recently. So this is something that's being actively maintained and actively, added to. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm surprised I'm just now finding out about this, to be honest. But yeah, you play it in an Ethereum virtual machine, and each level is a smart contract that needs to be hacked. So, perfect. So definitely something awesome to check out in the future here. But back to this vulnerability here. So, apparently before Solidity 0422, which now we're on 08 something, so most likely this vulnerability is going to be a bit of a rarity to see out there in the wild, I would think. But basically the thing with constructors where they were defined as functions that had the same name as the contract that contained them. So the issue was if you created your contract under one name and then you went back and renamed your contract later, if you did not update your constructor, then it was basically just a regular callable function that anyone could call, which has led to some interesting contract hacks, as you can imagine. We're going to take a look at it here now. So here's an example, right? There was there's this owner wallet contract. It used to be owner wallet with the lowercase o, but then they updated the name. So this function here, this constructor, is no longer only callable by the owner, right? So now anyone can call it because if we look here, right, the constructors were defined as function with the same name, right? So there was nothing here to distinguish this as a constructor. The only reason it knew it was a constructor was the name matched the contract name. And so now that that's no longer the case, this is basically just another function. And because this function is public, it is callable by anyone. So in the case of this contract here, right, you can withdraw the ether from the contract if and only if you're the owner. But because, remember, this is now publicly callable by anyone now that the names don't match up anymore. So anyone can call this function and become the owner, right? Basically initiate their address as the owner address, and then just call withdrawal and drain all the ether out of the contract. So, as you can imagine, quite a devastating bug in this case. So, they call out here specifically, owner wallet is not the same as capital O, owner wallet. So, anyone can call it themselves, set themselves as the owner, take all the ether from the contract. Now, what has been added since version 0422 of Solidity is they introduced the constructor keyword. Because remember, up here, there's no constructor keyword to denote this explicitly as a constructor. It's only a constructor because the names match up and the code, right? So now there's an actual constructor keyword that will specify something as a constructor rather than requiring the name of the function to match, right? Like I said. And so you can just use the keyword to prevent this issue from happening now. But still, if you don't, then this is a potential vulnerability for you. Now, here is an example of Rubixi, which was another pyramid scheme. A lot of these pyramid schemes back in the day were pretty vulnerable. I mean, this was the early days of all the smart contract stuff, right? So as you can imagine, there was way more vulnerabilities out there even than there are now. I'm sure there's still a lot now, but this one had this vulnerability here. So originally, instead of Rubixi, they called it Dynamic Pyramid. It's funny how they had pyramid in the name of their pyramid scheme. But they quickly changed it to Rubixi, but when they did that, they did not change the constructor's name from Dynamic Period to Rubixi. They left it as Dynamic Period. And so that constructor, just became an ordinary function, which, that allowed anyone to become the creator by calling that constructor function. So it basically led to people constantly naming themselves the creator of the contract so they could take money from the contract, right? And it was just like a constant thing. Everyone was just constantly hacking it and trying to become the creator. So pretty interesting there. That's pretty much it for the constructors. One pretty simple here. But yeah, definitely check out this resource if you feel the urge to go after some. Try your hand at it. I definitely recommend it. So hopefully you're enjoying this so far. If so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the like button as well. And I'll pull up the videos on screen now if you want to catch up. I know we've done a lot of videos in this series at this point. This is the 14th and 13th, and then number 14 coming up next week. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, check out these videos. Thanks for watching.